Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. A couple years ago, I learned a really valuable lesson about bringing people together. I had this great idea to start a men's group and invite everybody to church and see who showed up. And so I did a bunch of kind of recon. I was shaking hands and telling people, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. People seemed excited about it. And then when it came to the night of our men's group, I'd unlock the church doors and nobody would show up. And then the next week, I announced it from stage. I put it in the church program. I shook hands and I told people about it. And the next night when we were supposed to meet, nobody would show up. And I did this for about 6 weeks. I was getting really frustrated. Until about that 6th week, I had a friend say, hey, I'm finally available for men's group. Is anybody going to be there? And I was like, do I tell them the truth? No one ever shows up. And I did. I said, I don't know. I'll be there, but nobody ever shows up. He said, well, then why don't we just go down the road and grab pizza? I was like, okay. So we ended up doing that. He and I showed up to the pizza joint that was a block away. We parked at church and walked there. And all of a sudden, there were 4 to 5 guys. He must have texted a couple guys saying, hey, we're going to grab pizza tonight. And they showed up. So I thought to myself, why am I fighting this? Why don't we just show up and have pizza together? So the next week at church, I put in the program, hey, meeting down the road at the pizza joint. I announced it. I shook hands. I said, hey, come join us for pizza. We had 17 people show up the next week. And I learned that in that moment, there is something spiritual about sharing a meal together. And I'm not just saying that because I love food. I'm saying that because it actually shows up a number of places in the Bible when Jesus eats with people, when he shares a meal with people. When he first meets Zacchaeus, it's not like, hey, let's have a random conversation right here. He said, why don't we do dinner together? There's something that happens around a meal. And even if you look at the early church in Acts 2, 46 through 47 is talking about kind of what the early church did, and it says that they followed a daily discipline of worship in the temple, so they went to church. But then they followed that by meals together in their homes. Every meal was a celebration, exuberant and joyful as they praised God. It wasn't like they went to church and praised God and then, they all went and ate. It was all of this worked in together, that they shared meals together, and in doing so, they worshiped God. There's something about having that meal that just breaks down our walls. We're starting a new series about Thanksgiving, about being thankful in this season of really reflecting on how good our life is. And we're calling it Eat, Drink, and Be Thankful. And so today we're focusing on the eat portion of that. Not only does the Bible say that, but there's a really cool quote from one of my favorite books about living our faith out in this world. It's called Right Here, Right Now by Alan Hirsch. And in it, Alan Hirsch says that, by the way we live our lives, this world should experience some foretaste of heaven. And when he's talking about that and what that might look like, he says, he references meals. He says that I believe that sharing meals together is one of the most sacred acts we can do. He said that when we do that, when we share a meal together, we're essentially bringing the fruits of our labor. Whether it's the hands that made it or whoever's paying, we're essentially saying that this is valuable enough, this time together, this conversation, that we can engage our faith together. He says it's my life for your life. That when we do that, it's basically like we're in this together. We get to have these conversations, and just by having these conversations about life, and when they include faith, we're doing this life together. And so this week, if you want to engage your faith on a deeper level, consider how you could have a meal with somebody, who you should have a meal with. Most of us are getting ready. We've got our elastic waistband pants ready for Thanksgiving. But some of us are dreading those meals and those conversations. But what if we change that perspective? Eat, drink, and be thankful. This year, as you engage Thanksgiving, before and after and all of the holiday season, consider putting a couple calendar spots and think through who you might be able to share a meal with. And not just a meal, share life, share faith. and have honest conversations about God. This week, as you live out your faith, connect with somebody else over a meal and connect with God.